What's up, guys? I am just here to bring a little bit of a guide on how to heal Mythic Radiance of Azshara from a Holy Paladin standpoint. I'm by no means a great Paladin healer. As you can see, I'm pretty average, but I can get by. This fight has a lot of raw throughput that's needed for it because, as you can see from damage taken, let's get off of me. The entirety of the raid pretty much takes the same amount of damage from one ability, and that ability is Unshackled Power. If we go into here and look at it, you can see the spike in damage, and you're going to need a sustained 200k-ish healing. Now, obviously, that's not possible just from looking at the numbers for BFA, but as far as raw output and relying on other healers, that's probably what you're going to need. You can see my log here. Again, I'm not the best Holy Paladin. There's certainly better people out there, but I've been playing it for a long time, and I thought I'd give a little bit of a guide for any other Holy Paladins that were out there. So you can see the gear that I've got. I've got a heroic Azshara helm that drops off of this boss. I now have the mythic version of that helm. I got really lucky on my first roll of Titan Residium for 445, and I got best shoulders I could get. It's got Light's Decree and Glimmer of Light, and the chest is, I believe, from Savara. She drops one of the better chests that you can get. All around, the Azshara pieces aren't great in this tier, but there are serviceable pieces like the one for the helm from Radiance and the chest from Savara, namely. There is a Glimmer shoulder that you can get later on in the instance, but I mean, honestly, you're better off just rolling, trying to find a shoulder with Glimmer on it. You do need 3 Glimmer traits to be a fully capable Glimmerdin. It's a build that started gaining popularity in Battle of Azshara lore because of the raw amount of healing that you're going to be able to put out, and especially with the way that damage works in this raid tier. Paladins are extremely strong. We're probably the best raw throughput healer that you can have, and we're very mana efficient. I did run out of mana in this fight and needed to drink, but that's not bad. I ended up casting a lot more flash of lights than I wanted to, but we just needed output. Let's see, yeah, we used all of our mana, so that's good. So back to my gear. You can see I have 2300 haste. There's probably people out there that are like, that's way too much haste. Maybe. I've started way deprioritizing crit and just trying to go with a raw haste build. So anything that I get with haste, I count as a win. I've got a crafted 440 belt that has haste in its socket, and haste and mastery is one of the stats. My legs are crafted. They have a haste gem. They also have haste, and I believe they have crit. I wasn't able to get any haste mastery pants before running out of Expulsum. My boots I just got from a Warfront. I'm just wearing them because they were an upgrade. They have the exact same stats as my 415 boots that they were replaced, so it was an upgrade. Obviously, if I had to choose, the boots on Savara, I believe, have haste, so I would choose those. I got really lucky and got a 455 Titan Forge in my first 440 chest. They have haste and mastery. I am wearing the gloves from Savara, the heroic version. I got lucky again and got a 430 version of the ring that drops off of Freehold boss. And then I got another lucky roll this week. In my chest, I had a 440 haste mastery ring. So I've just been really lucky so far with RNG in the chest and the drops that I've gotten. So The trinkets I'm using, I'm having a real hard time with trinkets in this tier. I'm not sure which trinkets are desirable for Holy Paladins. I'm not sure which trinkets are priority, as it were. I'm assuming that the Ignition Mage Fuse trinket from, I believe, Tol de Gore is still very valuable. And I believe that there's some value in the Alchemist trinket, although I'm not wearing it. I have a 440 version of it, and it is socketed for haste, but I'm just not using it because I've got this Zakul's Portal Key, which is a really, really, really situational trinket. Your abilities have a chance to create a Void Tear for 30 seconds. When you move into the Void Tear, you gain 2047 intellect. That's more than what you'd get from a potion. And that's, I think, just under what you'd get from a proc of your Alchemist trinket. So if I stacked the Alchemist trinket on top of the Zoetroid, the Zakul's Portal Key, I could have a proc of over 4,000 intellect. The problem with the portals that Zakul's trinket spawns is that they're random and they're kind of based on where your character is. When the trinket procs, it creates a little circle. So when you run into it, you've got maybe an 5 to 8 yard radius to run around in. It's kind of like a Rune of Power. I don't know if this trinket's any good. I have a 415 socketed version. I'm only wearing the 430 because of the extra intellect proc, and I do try to seek these portals out when they do spawn. But again, this might not be the best trinket for you. It might not be the best trinket for me. I've got like 3 other trinkets in my bags. I've been playing around with them situationally while still maintaining a high level of haste. So the reason I bring up haste is because of this trinket right here, the Zoetroid Egg Sac, which I got off of Orgazoa. Casting a single target heal has a chance to summon a Zoetroid on your target, absorbing some amount of damage based off of your versatility, and then granting them versatility each time you spend mana. I don't know if it's good or not. I got it. It was socketed. I threw some haste in it. Prior to this evening, this is the first night I've used this trinket combo. Prior to that, I was wearing the 415 socketed version of Zakul's, and I was wearing my Mechagon trinket. My Mechagon trinket gives more raw haste than either of these. However, one of them is a proc. It procs all the time, so it's not a big issue. And the other one is just raw stats. I just don't know if that's what I should be going towards. And creeping up on 2400 haste seems a little excessive. Especially when Bloodlust is out, I'm essentially capped by the global. So like as soon as Holy Shock goes out, and you'll actually see it in the video, I'm literally only hampered in getting Holy Shocks out because of the global cooldown. Now, if I can Crusader Strike on top of that, it becomes instant cast. But Crusader Strike, as you probably know, if you're playing this build, only has 2 charges. I got a weapon from Savara, and I have the shield from Orgazoa. So, again, I might not be super fully optimized. If you're in the Paladin Discord, or if you follow the midweek mending on Reddit, a lot of people would probably say you need to start plugging into the spreadsheet. You need to go to Questionably Epic. You need to use Volk's guide, his gear optimizer. Yeah, I mean, those things are nice. I like to ask people kind of how stuff feels, and I don't feel like my gear's quite at the point where I want to start trying to fiddle with optimization numbers and things like that. I kind of go based off of what feels good, what feels right. I know that that's kind of cardinal sin. You know, not supposed to do that, but it's just the way I kind of have been rolling so far. And it's kind of served me, you know, decently. As far as talents for this fight, I was taking Crusader's Might. You have to take Crusader's Might when you're rolling with a Glimmer build. The more Crusader strikes that you cast, it reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn. So you're just able to pump more healing out because the cooldown on those spells is reduced. I take Rule of Law. I pop that when I hit a Light of Dawn. I take Devotion Aura. Always take Devotion Aura. If you want to rank super high and cheese it, you can take Aura of Mercy. You're not helping your raid team at that point if you take Aura of Mercy. Devotion Aura is one of the strongest damage reduction cooldowns in the game, right next to Barrier. Limit was using it during their Mythic Azshara progress. It's an insane cooldown. The amount of just raw damage that you're able to immediately blanket the raid and cover is just incredible. Always take Devotion Aura. Always hang out next to your tank. Try to give them that extra 3%. Hang out with the melee. They can leech an extra 3% damage reduction. It's incredible. The reason people don't run with Devotion Aura is because it doesn't show up on the healing charts. And while would be nice to see Devo Aura in here and how much absorption it did do or damage reduction it did do, that's not a stat calculated by any of the healing meters. So you'd have to go to WoW Analyzer, go into the statistics. Let's see, where is Devotion Aura? Damage reduction, click to load. You can see I reduced 4,439 damage reduced per second. The total estimated damage reduced by the passive was over 1 million damage reduced the entirety of the Azshara fight. Well, I should say Azshara. Radiance of Azshara. We have not killed Mythic Azshara. The total estimated damage reduced during Aura Mastery was almost 1 million. So Aura of Mercy isn't going to output that much raw healing, especially if you pop it with Aura Mastery. It's not going to heal for a million. But Devotion Aura can reduce almost 1 million damage when AM's out. So it's very powerful. You should always take that. You can still rank even with Devotion Aura. If you look at if you're into rankings and parsing, if you look at Radiance, and we go to healing, and we'll do the US, and we'll go to Paladins. You can see the top used Aura of Mercy. You can see everybody else in the top 5 use Devotion Aura. You can still rank just fine. When you're running a Glimmer build, you always want to take Holy Avenger and pair it with Sanctified Wrath. Holy Avenger is an extra cooldown. It increases your raw haste, and it increases the healing done by Holy Shock, which also increases the healing done of Glimmer. Sanctified Wrath makes your wings last longer, and it reduces Holy Shock's cooldown. So it's an amazing, when you pop both of these together, it makes you just be able to become a healing machine. And with this build, you always take Divine Purpose. Divine Purpose, when it procs, can either give you a free Lot of Dawn or a free Holy Shock. So it costs no mana, and it's, just reproc. So sometimes you get 2, 3, 4 Divine Purpose procs in a row, and it's all Holy Shocks. It's just more glimmers that you can get out on the raid. For my Azurite essences, I took a rank 2 Vision of Perfection in the major, and I took Well of Existence in the minor. Well of Existence in the minor is very good. It grabs all of your overhealing, stores it into a little guy that I call Chad, and then when you heal a target that's under 50% health, that overhealing is released to heal them for more. So that was my build. As for the Azurite traits, obviously you have to have 3 glimmers. I have 1 Light's Decree. That makes Avenging Wrath last 5 seconds longer. So instead of a 25-second wing, I get a 30-second wing. When you pair that with Vision, I don't think it was during this kill, but during our Savara kill, I had wings for almost a minute, because Vision of Perfection can proc while you're already under the influence of Avenging Wrath. So you can get 30 that becomes 35, that becomes 40, that becomes 55, and it just keeps proccing off of itself. So it's very powerful. Vision in the major, if you've got rank 2, not only reduces the cooldown of wings, but it also has a chance to proc 7 seconds of wings. While that might not be great for Rhett, it's great for us, because as soon as you see wings proc, you know you're going to start healing for more, just off of a baseline, and Holy Shock's cooldown will go on cooldown, or will be faster as well. I'm using Elemental Whirl for the chance to proc haste. Overwhelming Power, which can give you haste. Synergistic Growth, which every time you cast Light of Dawn, you get a set amount of mastery. And I'm running 2 Resounding Protections. This was honestly just the best one that I could get. The other one was like when you lay on hand, somebody gets armor. This is when you cast Shield, it grants an absorb. Situational. So that's my gear. So let's look at the fight. So when we pull, again, when we go back to the pull, I pop a Potion of Wild Mending. Again, I do that for a reason. That's because Unshackled Power comes out very quickly after you pull. Wild Mending is going to give you a chance to heal the target for an additional percentage. I think it's like 5,000 or 6,000. So I also pop Wings on pull. Let's just go back to pull. So here's the Potion of Mending. As the timer hits 0, I'm popping Wings, I'm popping Avenger, and I'm going to start getting out as many glimmers as I can. You can see under the effects of Bloodlust, all I'm waiting for is the global cooldown for Holy Shock. I hold my Light of Dawn. There's no reason to cast it here, A, because nobody's taking any damage, and B, as soon as this Unshackled Power cast is finished, everybody's going to need it. So as soon as that cast goes through, I'm going to pop Rule of Law and pair it with Light of Dawn. So right now my priority is get Glimmer out on as many people as possible. There goes the Unshackled Power. Rule of Law's been popped. Light of Dawn's been popped. As soon as Light of Dawn gets me off the global, I'll heal Vio and just continue to Glimmer. Now, there I just ran into one of Zakul's little eye portals. I believe the buff is this one right here. It doesn't have a countdown, but it does last 30 seconds as according to the trinket. I'm going to try and stand in this portal as long as I can. However, there's a lot of movement on this fight, and as you'll see, there's going to be a lot of portals that I don't end up standing in because they're either too far from the boss or we've got to move away from tornadoes. So it's just, it is what it is. So you can see my group is completely glimmered out. I've got Glimmer on everyone but the tank. I get hit by tornadoes. I have to pop Bubble there. That's not good. I just need to be better and not get hit by tornadoes. That was the biggest thing that plagued us on this fight, was people getting hit by tornadoes. You can see that I had popped Aura Mastery. The reason I popped Aura Mastery, let's get it here. Unshackled Power's going out, so I go ahead and Devo. We take a 20% damage reduction. You can see the damage is much more healable when you've got some type of raid-wide cooldown going out. So, unless Unshackled Power is out and people aren't getting hit by tornadoes, you can see not a whole lot of damage going out in this fight. I move out of melee range a lot, trying to get around tornadoes. That's not good when you're a Glimmer Paladin. You want to stay in melee range so that you can get Crusader Strikes off, so that you can get more Holy Shocks off. You can see the raid was low. Had to stop, cast some Flashes of Light. I'm back in melee range here, and we're going to continue to Holy Shock, get those Glimmers out. That was a wasted Light of Dawn because it came out right before the cast for Unshackled Power, so I missed out on some healing there. I don't know if it's a set percentage or if it's on a timer, but this boss will transition. And the Mythic change is that instead of just having one ad spawn during intermission, you have two ads spawn. That's why we have two groups. That's why I can't heal this group down here. We've got a Druid and a Monk healing over there. We've got me and a Holy Priest healing over here. The reason I threw a Holy Light out right there is because I had procced Infusion of Light. My mana was at 76%. I still needed to get healing out. And I think it was further back. But either way, don't cast Holy Light. I literally only casted it there just to try and conserve mana. Again, I did run out of mana on this fight. We lost Ballistic due to not getting Dispelled. So that's on the healers. Make sure that you Dispel before you run away. My positioning was off here, so you want to be in front of the boss. I'm going to pop Wings and Avenger. Colt does a 300 IQ grip right here because I get locked. So thank you, Colt, for gripping me. You want to position yourself more in line with this as your barrier. You don't want to get knocked into this water back here. So I adjust there, pop Wings. The reason Wings is out is because Gale Buffet does actually really hurt in Mythic. So, and I know Wings will be up once we get out of transition because, again, since I'm running rank 2 of Vision, Wings should be up by the time Unshackled Power comes out. If it's not, it'll be up for the second Unshackled Power. So again, we're just getting raw throughput. We're dispelling the Arcane Bombs, trying to go over on this side. We were supposed to go more towards the tornadoes, but I wasn't going to get there. So I went ahead and just dispelled early. Most people are lined up properly at this point. And this is mainly just, you've got to make sure that these storm adds go down at the same time. You can see that our group is behind. That's because we lost a DPS. So the group that's down here, group 3 and 4, they're going to be caught in the storm for a while as we deal with this add. It doesn't end up wiping anybody, but ideally you want all your DPS down, or up, I mean, so that they can deal with this add, and they can be killed at the same time. You can see this group's going to start taking ticking damage, ticking damage, ticking damage. As soon as the storm's over, that ticking damage will stop. So it could have been worse, also could have been better. So the boss is out of transition, and we're going to go back to same old, same old. Now, there are strats for this fight where you see the groups position each other on one on each side, and then each time a tornado moves out, the group will move in a clockwise, counterclockwise motion around the room. We had been trying that for, I think, 4 or 5 unsuccessful pulls. We just couldn't get it as a group. This was the first pull that we did where we just went back to a personal responsibility strategy of everybody's responsible for dodging tornadoes. Everybody's responsible for knowing the mechanics. You can stay spread. You just need to make sure that you're doing your part in avoiding those that avoidable damage. As soon as we switched back to this strat, we downed the boss. So that's what worked for our group. If your group likes a little bit more coordination and doesn't like to YOLO fights, there's certainly methods out there where you can stack. So as you can see, I did miss the first Unshackled Power, but Wings is up for the next Unshackled Power. It's important to get people topped before that comes out. So if you're a Paladin, this is what you would call a ramp. You would want to ramp, so you don't want to pop Wings after the damage has come out. You want to pop Wings before the damage has come out. You're going to have plenty of time to keep healing under the influence of 2 major cooldowns, whilst also having the raid pre-glimmered. So that means that any damage done while your glimmers are out, anytime you re-Holy Shock that person or Holy Shock a new person, everybody's going to receive that healing on top of it. And again, once this cast is done, I'll still have 10 seconds of Avenger and 24 seconds of Wings. So there's the Unshackled Power. And we're just able to keep pumping the raid back up. So we've got Aura Mastery up for the next Unshackled Power. I don't think I pop it off in time. I think I had pocketed it for too long here. Obviously, if you were better than me. Yeah, see, I popped Aura Mastery after that Unshackled Power. That's not what you want to do. You want to get Aura Mastery out before Unshackled Power comes out so that you get the full benefit of the damage reduction. That's likely too why in WoW Analyzer my Devo didn't reduce more damage. It could have probably reduced way, way, way more damage. As far as dispels in this fight, we used to call it out. It's kind of just, hey guys, GTFO. Once we see you move out to a safe spot, we'll dispel you. Pop-Tart and Marker got targeted there. They're ranged classes. They got out, and we dispelled them. Now, we missed Pop-Tart. That was on me. My dispel was up. I just got out of range of Pop-Tart because I moved back into melee. It sucks. It happens. I should have Lay on Hands here. I actually didn't end up casting Lay on Hands this fight, which wasn't good. You always want to at least cast, even if it's at the end of the fight and you just use it. Just you make sure you use it. It's a utility spell. You need to be using it. We're back into transition now. Again, we're still down 1 DPS on our side, so we're going to need to be mindful of that. I stack in the semi-correct position here. I could probably move over to the left just a little bit. Everybody gets out. Everybody gets dispelled. Gale Buffet's coming in. I'm going to go ahead and pop off here. I popped off there because my cooldowns hadn't yet come up. So I had Holy Avenger coming. I had Wings in 3 seconds. So I didn't get to ramp this damage. That's still okay because I'm going to be able to provide a lot of raw healing instead. But again, for Unshackled Powers, you want to try to cast those before the damage comes out. That way you can properly ramp. We're basically just going to focus on getting as many glimmers out as possible during this transition. Margaret needed a dispel. He got it late. We're just going to keep continuing to pop off. That was a wasted Light of Dawn proc right there. There it gets some use. I always try to pair Light of Dawn with Rule of Law. As you can see, Rule of Law is pretty much always on cooldown for me. There is better ways to use Rule of Law. I've just found that if I'm not casting it with Light of Dawn, I end up not casting it. But there are situations, because Rule of Law doesn't just make Light of Dawn more powerful, it allows you to be able to heal people that are further away. So all of your abilities gain a 40-yard range. Well, that's huge in fights where you've got raid separation. Think fight like Heroic Azshara, or maybe even Queen's Court, where you might just have too much separation between you and the ranged group. Pop Rule of Law, you'll be able to heal those people for 10 seconds. So again, there's better uses for it, but for me, I find it's just comfortable to pop it with Light of Dawn. You want your uptime of Rule of Law. You basically, after pull, you want Rule of Law to essentially always have at least one charge on cooldown. So you can see we actually finished the ads off. Did we finish them off at the same time? So even down in DPS, we finished the ads off at the same time. So that was really good, especially considering that we were down to DPS. We're going to move out of transition. And at this point, it's just a rinse and repeat fight. Everybody's got to stay alive. Everybody's got to keep doing what they've been doing this whole time. It's just a matter of not getting hit by tornadoes. And the healers, it's your job to keep the raid topped up for those unshackled powers. At this point in the fight, it's going to start to become a little bit hectic. You can see Wings still has 11 seconds, and we're about to get another unshackled power. So it's at this point I'd probably start calling for Rallying Cry, Divine Hymn. Hymn is a nightmare for the priest to cast in this because it's channeled over 10 seconds, and there's so much movement, they're not going to likely be able to get a hymn off. Same thing for Trank and a Druid. It's just going to be hard for them to get a Tranquility off to hit enough people before they have to move. So that's why Wings is so powerful during this fight. You can see that we're just pumping the healing to a ridiculous amount, just because of all the raw throughput we're able to get. Another Unshackled Power goes out. We still got 8 seconds of Wings, and we're just really pumping those numbers. As you can see, Vio went from almost dead. Let's watch this power come out. Boom. Vio gets hit. I think he gets hit by a tornado as well. Yeah, see, Vio got hit by Unshackled Power, and Vio got hit by a tornado. He's got 10% health. He's already got Glimmer ticking on him. So let's Holy Shock, and this Holy Shock crits. Boom. He gets the benefit of the crit from the Holy Shock, and he already had Glimmer on him. So he just gets double healing. Nobody else is going to do that much throughput other than a Holy Paladin. So it's the strength of our class right now before they probably nerf it into the ground and we have to go back to the boring way to play. But anyways, that's the fight, guys. It's a fun fight. As you can see, I was very excited to win that Azurite helm. It's one of the better helms I can get in this instance, so I was happy to see it. From a Holy Paladin perspective, this fight and Savara are very Paladin friendly, just because there's so much raw damage going out, and we're one of the only classes that can just handle that raw damage really well and really effectively. So I hope this helped you guys. Any aspiring Holy Paladins out there, you can basically use the same strat for Heroic if you want. Just know that instead of 2 ads, you're just going to get the 1. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in another video.